anything like me, these 3 things make you very happy. Number 1, simplicity. As much as possible in my life, I try to keep things simple because they're going to be crazy on their own, so I don't want to add to it. Number 2, I love riding my bike. Talk about simplicity. Just my bike and some single track makes me a happy girl. And number 3 is training fuel. Something that is going to make me feel great while I'm on my bike and help me to continue to get better as seasons go along and year after year rather than worse. Today, I'm going to bring these 3 things that I love together and give you a simple list of what makes up training nutrition, the parts of it, so you can ride your bike or run or cycle on the road or whatever it is you love to do better and more often. Hello, my name is Kelly Jennings, registered dietitian and sports nutritionist. Today I want to simplify training nutrition for you, give you the 3 main aspects of it, and then how it kind of meanders into daily eating just a tad and supplementation. So let's talk about it. Throughout all my videos, my posts, my podcasts, I talk about daily nutrition, I talk about training nutrition. So let's just define the training nutrition, and then you can dig in or purchase one of my plans below that will give you all the details that you'd ever want for the pieces of training nutrition. But let's go ahead and define it today and keep this simple. Training nutrition, number 1, is pre-training. So this is what you're eating, the nutrients you give your body immediately before whatever you're doing, training or racing or your adventure. Now, a few hours out, you have a little bit more time to get some variation in your pre-training meal. So if you've got 2 to 3 hours before you're racing or training, you can have a bigger meal, things with more calories overall, but also with proteins and fibers and fats and things like that. But still, we mostly want carbs. The whole point of pre-training nutrition is to get something in your body that is going to be available to your body as energy while you're actually doing what you're going to do. My mantra here is fueled but not full. I never want to roll up to the starting line or to the trailhead or whatever feeling like my stomach is full. I want it to feel as not full as possible, but still feel like I'm fueled. So that's what I'm going for. That is always my goal with pre-training nutrition. My favorite thing is 2 hours out to have a smoothie if I'm going for something bigger. Now I want at least 80 grams of carbs in that smoothie. On a weekday sort of ride though, if I'm getting like a 1 to 2 hour ride in, I'm just going to have a quick pre-training fuel. So that's going to be something just 15 to 30 minutes before I go, and that's going to be all carbs, something like a banana, some dates, some honey on a spoon, something along those lines. So there's a little bit of difference depending on the amount of time you have and the duration of your training or race, but the goals are the same. You want something available to you while you're actually training or racing. The second thing is during race nutrition. Now I have a whole other video that I'll link to below that takes during training or during race nutrition piece by piece by piece, so you know exactly what to get there. And like I said, my plans will spell it all out for you. But during training nutrition just means what you're constantly giving your body. Now for me, this means fluid, it means electrolytes, and it means carbs. Different durations of training and different intensities require different things, so there is some variation here as well. But for the most part, anything over 90 minutes to 3 hours, I'm going to shoot for about 60 grams of carbs per hour, starting from the beginning, 400 to 700 milligrams of sodium, and about 20 ounces of fluid per hour. Usually I'm going to do that all together in a sports drink plus a carb option per hour. Now if I'm going longer for 3 hours, I'm going to start adding in some magnesium and calcium, and I'm also going to bump up my carbs per hour if I can to the 75 to 90 grams per hour range. A lot of times then I'll use a more concentrated drink and then still just one carb option because I don't want to be stopping and fumbling with actual things to eat too often. If I'm going for some fun grand adventure like the White Run in a day or whatever, 100 a century, something like that, that's 5 hours or more, of course, Then the other thing I'm gonna add in is every 3 hours or so, I'm gonna have a more substantial food than those little carb options I have every hour. So we're gonna have our every hour nutrition, and then in addition, just to feel better, to kind of get rid of that hollow, empty stomach and something to look forward to, I'm usually gonna have like a salty food that I will look forward to. Sometimes, a lot of times, it has some bacon somewhere in there, something like that. This isn't necessarily going to be all about those fuel goals as far as the carbs. It's just something that kind of satisfies your stomach a little bit. But again, fueled, not full. So I generally keep the volume to half a sandwich or smaller, even with those every 3 hours. That gets me all the way through feeling great. The third then of training nutrition is recovery. The whole point of recovery is to, one, get glycogen back into your muscles. So glycogen is just the stored form of carbs that's available to you when you need anaerobic efforts. We want to replenish that. If you want to feel good the next time you go out, especially if that's going to be within a day, then you need to replenish your glycogen. That's where carbs come in recovery. The second thing is we want to make sure we're not dehydrated. So we're gonna give ourselves fluid. And if you sweat a lot or it's hot outside, you probably wanna give yourself fluid with electrolytes again, because you've lost both fluid and electrolytes in your sweat. So when you only replenish one, you cause yourself some problems. Number 3 is we want protein in there, because that, and some amino acids specifically, that is what's going to help your muscles recover and grow and adapt to whatever training you just put it through, so you can continue to get better. So those are the 3 main portions of training nutrition. Now, a couple others. And this kind of meanders into the daily nutrition. I try to keep them separate, but of course there's always some gray area here and there. Number 1 is before a 3+ hour training if I'm biking, or 2+ hour if I'm running, then the night before I'm gonna add some carbs in. Now when I work with clients and they have like an A race or something big, a century, we're gonna actually start adding more carbs to their meals 48 hours beforehand. But if this is just kind of like a Saturday fun 4-hour ride, it's going to be the night before that I'm adding in carbs, 30 to 45 grams, somewhere in there. So that's one place that training nutrition sneaks in. I'm also going to probably add some sodium. So I usually will have like a higher sodium meal then. The other place is during an on-season training, having protein before you go to bed, and especially replacing any sugary sweets, desserts before bed that cause insulin to go up in our body. Having protein instead while you sleep is a better idea. For one, by not kicking up insulin, we allow human growth factor to circulate better and help our bodies recover. Number 2 is, besides for that 30-minute window right after you train for recovery, the second best window for recovery is while you sleep. So much happens as far as your brain and your muscles while you sleep. So having those amino acids available to your body to heal your muscles and recover is a great thing. Now, the 5th place for training nutrition, and where it meanders into something else, is supplements. There are specific supplements that I add in due to training, not just all year round. Not for off seasons, not when you're not training, even during your off season. If on that day you didn't train, you wouldn't add these in necessarily. So the first is magnesium. We're gonna double our magnesium during on-season training with my clients. Now that's an everyday sort of thing, so that's one. Number 2, are there specific amino acids that I recommend to take before, during, and after training? So kind of with that, those 3 elements of training nutrition. There's L-glutamine and there's branched chain amino acids. These specifically are just soaked up by the muscles and used for recovery. So that's another one. And the third is, a lot of times with my clients, we'll double up on things like ginger and turmeric, just to prevent joint and muscle soreness and help our bodies continue to recover. So that's training nutrition for me. Simplified, there's 3 main ones: before, during, after training or races. And then 2 that kind of meander into there, and that is the night before a big training, protein before bed, and then the extra supplements. I hope this has somewhat simplified things for you. I know that once you get these things in your head, you'll then want to dig into what each of them means, and that does make it more complex. But starting with big picture for me anyway, and then dialing in the specifics is a great way to go. For even more, so many specifics, go over to apexnutritionllc.com. And thank you so much.
That's dinner.